A new season of ACU football, a new stadium, and a new name for the show. I'm Hannah Knoll.
But the same hosts. I'm Grant Boon. We will look back at last week's season opener against the University of New Mexico and get you ready for today's tilt against Colorado State. It's the Adam Dorrel Show right now. Greetings and welcome to the pilot episode of the Adam Dorrel Show from the JMC Network Studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Grant Boon, along with the new pilot of the ACU football program, the 20th head coach in Wildcat football history, Adam Dorrel. Coach, let's dive right in. How are you? Great to see you, Coach. Congratulations on your debut as a Wildcat head coach. You've been a head coach. You're the winningest active head coach in all of NCAA football on any level. 6 amazing years at your alma mater, Northwest Missouri State. But that was in a familiar setting, a place where you grew up, a place you knew very well. I'm curious, what was the experience like? Not so much the X's and O's last Saturday in Albuquerque against the University of New Mexico, but just the overall experience, your first time in purple and white.
Yeah, it was awesome, Grant. It was just a great night, beautiful night in Albuquerque, and being with a new team, a new set of coaches, new players. New parents at the hotel. It was a great experience. We had a great trip, and I was proud of our kids because I thought they played hard. And first game like that, you're very concerned. I was very concerned because we were playing a great team, and you're always anxious to how your team is going to respond to adversity. And I was just very proud of our players and the way they conducted themselves and played the whole night.
It was quite a debut for you against a team that went to a bowl game last year and went 9-4. Another tough test later today. You'll take on another team from the Mountain West Conference, the highest level of college football, the FBS, in Colorado State. They've already played 2 Pac-12 teams. Will having played a team from the highest level and from their conference help you in any way as you play a very tough team today?
Yeah, I will. It's simulated the speed. Obviously, we know the speed of the game. And that's going to help us immensely. That's just hard to simulate in practice. And then I think our guys being in a great stadium like we had out in New Mexico, and I think there was, 26,000 there. Now, obviously Saturday it's going to be a lot bigger and a lot brighter and a day game. But playing that first game, having that experience, and then being able to watch some film on Colorado State, knowing what they're going to run, seeing that a little bit, I think it's really going to help our players and our coaching staff.
Well, we will preview that game against Colorado State a little bit later on in the show. But when we come back on the Adam Dorrel Show, we will look back at that season opener against the University of New Mexico. Glad you're with us. The season debut of the Adam Dorrel Show. Welcome back to the Adam Dorrel Show. ACU opened its first season as a full-fledged member of Division I against a first-time opponent, and a tough one at that, the University of New Mexico from the Mountain West Conference, who last year went 9-4 and won a bowl game. With a look back at the highlights from last Saturday night in Albuquerque, here's Jonathan Rates.
The University of New Mexico looked every bit like a 9-win bowl team as they ran past the Wildcats 38-14 in the two teams' 2017 season openers. The Wildcats showed promise early as they jumped out to a 7-0 lead on a 15-play, 99-yard drive that started after the defense held the Lobos on a 4th-and-goal goal line stand in the first quarter. But the Lobos bounced back quickly and scored 38 unanswered points to preserve the victory and improve to 1-0 as the Wildcats fall to 0-1 on the season. The Lobos triple option offense proved to be effective as they outgained the Wildcats tonight 482 yards to 281 for the Wildcats. For JMC Sports Network, I'm Jonathan Rates.
Entering the season opener as heavy underdogs, the Wildcats knew they would have their hands full with last season's New Mexico Bowl champions. But the Lobos got everything they could handle early as the Wildcats' well-coached approach kept the game close through the first half and some of the third quarter. In fact, it was ACU jumping on the board first with a 99-yard scoring drive that lasted 6 minutes, capped off on a 36-yard catch and run by senior Carl Whitley. But the Wildcats' 7-0 lead was short-lived. New Mexico responded with a 71-yard drive of its own, which ended with a Lamar Jordan pitch to Dorrel Chestnut, who took it in from 4 yards out. On their next possession, the Lobos were back at it again. This time, it was Tyrone Owens taking it in to the end zone and giving New Mexico a 14-7 lead at the half. But ACU didn't go away and was in the position to tie the game at 14. But a touchdown pass from junior Dallas Seeley to senior Troy Grant was overturned and ruled incomplete. From there, Chestnut wasted no time getting back to the end zone, breaking off a 54-yard run to make the score 21-7 with 6:04 left in the third quarter. The Wildcat defense was stout in the red zone for most of the game. Junior cornerback Jamar Mack's deflection on third down kept the Lobos out of the end zone and forced them to settle for a field goal, making the score 24-7. But UNM was relentless in the second half, scoring on a 37-yard pass to make it 31-7 early in the fourth. And after a 3-and-out by ACU, it looked like it would stay that way. But the special teams rallied. After a booming punt, A.J. Greathouse forced a fumble that was recovered by Bryce Baccarini at the Lobos' 5-yard line. Unfortunately for the Wildcats, they couldn't capitalize, and on 4th and goal, Seeley was intercepted by Jake Roschiller, and the ball was returned 95 yards, making the score 38-7 late in the fourth quarter. ACU would add a touchdown late on a 34-yard connection between redshirt freshman Luke Anthony and junior Hunter Lees. The touchdown pass and reception were first for both players. With the loss, the team is 0-1 now and will look to get back on track against another tough Mountain West opponent in Colorado State. This is the first time ACU has ever played FBS opponents back-to-back.
Okay, Jonathan, thanks. 38-14, the final score from Dream Style Stadium in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Coach, New Mexico won the toss. They elected to receive. So often you see teams defer to the second half. Looked like they wanted to make a statement. They did march down rather crisply, 10 plays, 78 yards. They get to the doorstep, 4th and goal at the 1, and they elect to go for it. And the #1 rushing team in all of college football last year gets stoned on the doorstep. I saw that sideline of yours. It was electric down there.
It was awesome. It was a great feeling, great way to start the season. You know, the option is so hard to simulate, the speed. And so our guys, it just took them a little bit to get it, but that was a huge stand. And then to turn around and go 99 yards on offense and score on the opening drive of the season. Obviously, for me personally, that'll definitely be one to remember moving forward. So just very exciting goal line stand.
It looked like Dante Hibbert was one to get in there. Was he the main culprit?
Yeah, they do a technique where he crabs and crawls through the A gaps, and he's trying to hold the line so Sam can knife through and the other linebackers and just hit it. And it was great. Everybody did their job. 111th is kind of one of our mantras, and literally on that particular play, everybody did, and man, it was a thing of beauty.
It was really cool. And then, as you say, you get the ball. The good news is you stopped them. The bad news is you've got 99 yards to go, but you get a couple of runs from DeAndre. Not big yards, but just enough to give you a little bit of a chance to exhale. Dallas hits Josh Fink with what I thought was a big third down conversion, gets across the line to gain, and you work your way downfield, Coach. 15 plays, 99 yards, capped by Dallas Seeley to Carl Whitley. Could you have scripted a better start?
No, absolutely could not have. Just to see our guys execute at that, and execute at a high level. And you go back and you look at that first drive, and from a coach's standpoint, that's the one thing that we've been preaching all week, man. We're right there. We're close. We did it one time. We went 99 yards. With really good execution, we can do it again. And so, we've just got to continue to fine-tune a couple things and work on our conditioning and our depth. I think that'll really help us as the season gets going.
As expected, they made some plays. You told us that's a great team that went 9-4 last year. They scored 14 points in the first half. You stopped them on 3 drives. They scored on 2. But you go to the locker room, Coach, 14-7, and you told Seth Wilson in our halftime interview on the radio broadcast that you were pleased. And you told me later that locker room was fired up.
Yeah, it was. It was very exciting. We talked all week. One of our goals we knew going out there, none of their fans knew who ACU was. Really, we talked about that, and we said we just want everybody to know who we are at halftime, and I think they did.
I think they did too.
I think the fact that game was 7-14, I think a lot of people on the other side were sitting there scratching their head a little bit, and I was really proud of our guys because I felt like we took a step forward in our program because guys believed that they could win that football game, and that's huge. I mean, you can't win games, you can't win championships without talking about it, thinking about it, believing in it. And so it was great to see our guys at half.
If your team was intimidated, they didn't look it to me. Coach, in the second half, you get what was called a touchdown initially to Troy Grant. They looked at it on review, and the ball did come loose. That would have tied the game. They began to pull away toward the end, and the final score winds up 38-14. It was a score that I don't think was reflective of the tightness of the game. What did you think?
Right. Well, my big deal with Troy is if we catch that pass in the end zone, it's 14-14. What people forget is the very next play, we turn around and snap it over the quarterback's head.
Right.
And effectively lose the possession, have to punt the ball, and they go right down to score to go up 21-7, and that's hard to recover against a team like that. So just proud of our guys because they kept fighting, they kept playing hard, and that was one of the things they talked about amongst each other after the game is, we finished the game, we played hard, and to see our two offense come in at the end of the game.
How about that?
Oh, man.
Luke Anthony to Hunter Lee, just like you drew it
up.
up.
Yeah, right. And I said, men, you got 2 plays. Let's make them count. And by gosh, they made them count. So that was awesome because those guys were excited. And it doesn't take much to get a student-athlete confidence. I mean, just little playing time, little bits like that, and it was awesome.
Hunter Lee's had 2 catches before the touchdown for a grand total of 0 yards. 2 right at the line of scrimmage, and he catches the big one. Luke Anthony, 2 for 2, and your second-team O-line got in there, got some good snaps as well. 38-14 the final, and now on to Colorado State. We will preview that game a little bit later on in the show, but as we go to break, take a look at some of the other scores from around the Southland Conference. Impressive win from Sam Houston State over another top 10 in the FCS, Richmond. And how about a tip of the cap to Houston Baptist? Missed a lot of practices because of the devastation from Hurricane Harvey. Went and gave Texas State a very good game down in San Marcos. More of the Adam Dorrel Show when we continue.
This week on the Optimist Sportscast, first, the volleyball team continued its non-conference schedule against top 150 RPI teams this last weekend. Then, cross country began its first season as a postseason eligible contender at the Bear Twilight Invitational. And finally, we look at what's ahead for the soccer team after it got a little extra rest over the weekend. Welcome to the Optimist Sportscast. I'm Max Preston. Volleyball continued its difficult non-conference schedule, falling to Wake Forest and Rice in 4 sets and Colorado in straight sets. The Wildcats came out strong against both Wake Forest and Rice, taking the first set against the Demon Deacons and second game from the Owls, but both times the team stormed back to win in 4 games. Against Wake Forest in Game 3, with each team knotted at a game apiece, the game was tied at 20 before the Demon Deacons, but Wake Forest scored 5 straight points to take the 2-1 lead before winning the match in Game 4. After falling in the first game against Rice, the Wildcats battled to a 26-24 Game 2 victory, but the Owls proved too much in the rest of the way. In the final match of the tournament, ACU struggled to get anything going against the undefeated Buffaloes. The Wildcats took on Texas Tech on Monday night and continue tournament play this weekend in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The men's and women's cross-country teams began the 2017 season on Friday as they took 3 of 4 pairings at the Bear Twilight Invitational. The women edged both TCU and Texas State, while the men defeated TCU and came up just short against Texas State. Top performers for the women were seniors Michaela and Alexandria Hackett, who finished 3rd and 4th individually. For the men, senior Ryan Cleary came in 11th individually. The meet was a dual-team format that pitted ACU against TCU and Texas State, but individually, the runners competed against other schools like Baylor and SMU. The team will have a week off before hosting the Namadoo Classic in Abilene September 16th. The soccer team started its 2017 season on August 18th and boasts a 1-3 record through its first 4 games against SEC and Conference USA opponents. However, because of inclement weather from Hurricane Harvey, the team hasn't played since Sunday before classes started. The Wildcats games last weekend against Prairie View A&M and Texas Southern were canceled.
The team resumed play after the long break against the University of Texas Permian Basin on Tuesday. UTPB was 1-1 heading into the game after a 3-1 victory over Wayland Baptist. ACU also took on Oral Roberts on Friday, who was 1-4 heading into the game. That's all for this week. For more stories and breaking news, you can go to acuoptimist.com. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more at Optimist Sports. Until next time, I'm Max Preston.
Thanks, Max. This week's Player of the Week goes to junior wide receiver Hunter Lease. After seeing time in 9 games last year, Lease caught his first collegiate touchdown on Saturday against New Mexico in the Wildcats' first game of the season. I'm here with 3 of the ACU football team's team captains. We've got Sam Denmark, Dylan Douglas, and Dante Hibbert. Thank y'all for being here today. So when Coach Dorrel came in, it kind of changed everything in a sense, but it really changed the coaching style. Dante, could you tell me a little bit about that?
When they came in, it was more, they changed the culture as in like with academics and on and off the field in the community. We got way more community service hours, and our GPA went up, gradually over the time period, and they were just more hard on us, and there was more accountability. So, when they came in, they did a lot and changed a lot.
Whenever Coach Dorrel was first announced that he would be here, and I mean, we all knew that he was the winningest NCAA coach and that he had 3 Division II national championship titles. So how was your reaction?
I was pretty excited. Unfortunately, I was back home. I couldn't sit here for the real press conference and actually meet him in face until we came back in January. But I was excited hearing about a winning coach, coming to set some new boundaries and everything. I was a little nervous, of course, as any player would be, but I was excited to get ready to work with him.
Okay, so along with Coach Dorrel came a whole new coaching staff, including Coach Lamberson as the offensive coordinator and Jackson as the defensive coordinator. How would you say that those coaches and the other position coaches have contributed to all the changes?
I think they've brought a lot to the table to our team. They brought a lot of confidence. They've really helped us, not just out in the community and in the classroom, but on the field as well, especially. They brought some swagger. They brought a lot of class, and we're really all grateful for what they brought to our team.
Awesome. Okay, so question for all of y'all. Because of all these changes, there's a lot of people who have some pretty high expectations for this season. What would you say the team's expectations are?
I don't want to say better than last year because it's easier to be better than last year. I really just want to see us come together and win a lot of ball games. We look really good. We had a test last Saturday that just passed, and we look really good. The score doesn't show it, but we look good. So more like we're going to be really good this year in the conference, and that's what our mind is focused on. Yeah, we got a game this Saturday, and we want to go win. But right now, we're focused really on the conference to know that we're going to have a good year in the conference because that's all that matters.
And my goals for the team really are not about wins and losses and everything, because I feel like with the game of football, when you take care of things off the field and as a team, when you grow as a team and you worry about the day-by-day circumstances and everything, I believe that takes care of the football aspect of it, and you don't got to worry about the games, So my goal is just for us to grow as a team each and every day and grow as a family, and I think it'll take care of the games.
Yeah.
I think for our team during the spring and during fall camp, we've really changed the culture, within our team. But I really want to see the culture change around ACU and around Abilene, and I want the legacy of ACU football to mean more this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're all excited for this season, and thank y'all so much for talking with me today. For Sam, Dante, and Dylan, I'm Hannah Knoll, and we'll be back with the Adam Dorrel Show.
As we welcome you back to the Adam Dorrel Show, take a look at this week's Southland Conference schedule, which includes Nichols taking on a Texas A&M team that led UCLA Sunday night 44-10, but fell in a thriller at the Rose Bowl. Nichols, you might recall, went between the hedges last season and gave Georgia all it could handle, so maybe not as easy a game as Aggie fans might be expecting. All right, let's preview today's ACU game. The Wildcats up in Fort Collins, Colorado, against the Colorado State University Rams, led by third-year head coach Mike Bobo. You might remember him. He was a former quarterback for the University of Georgia back in the day. He was an offensive coordinator there as well, and he is in his third season coaching the Rams. They're 1-1, Coach. They played a couple of Pac-12 teams already in Oregon State, and then their Rocky Mountain Showdown, as they call it, against Colorado. They took Oregon State to the woodshed, and they are still steamed a little bit, some of the fans up in Fort Collins, about some calls that went against them against Colorado. It was 17-3. They lost that game. Could have been a lot different. When you just look big picture at Colorado State, what do you see?
Well, it's interesting because you look at the first game against Oregon State, and they took them to the woodshed, and they beat them any way you could beat a team. And then to turn around and watch them go play their rival, stagnant and a hard game, a lot of penalties, and I'm sure they're very disappointed. But the thing that I see in Colorado State, starting with their offense, super balanced attack, very good play calling. You don't know what's coming, run or pass. They're going to line up in big people. They play with the tight end fullback. They'll smash you a little bit, run play action off of it, and then turn around and run an element of the spread. Very sound, fundamentally sound on special teams, good punter, good kicker, and then to look at their defense, good defense. It's just well coached, tries to limit big plays, keep everything inside and in front of them, and they've played well for those first 2 weeks, and we've got obviously a huge challenge in front of us.
Let's talk about when your team is on defense. Nick Stevens is a terrific quarterback. He was top 10 in the nation in a handful of categories, including passing efficiency. That's a super detailed, complicated formula that I frankly don't understand. I just know it means you do a lot of things well and not very many things poorly. When you look at Stevens, what do you see in a quarterback?
Well, he's super efficient, and if you go back and you look at his season last year as a junior, I think the thing that stands out to me is played, was benched, and then brought back and played. To me, and then played really well at the end. That's a sign, of my opinion, of a very high character young man.
Mature. Very
mature. A lot of kids in this level, man. If you set them like that, I'm going to transfer, and I've just read some stuff on him. So I've been very impressed with him, watching him. Real accurate, doesn't make a lot of bad decisions, has a good clock, gets the ball out, understands protections, and if you blitz and you tip that pre-snap, he's really good at seeing that.
It'll be a tough test. Second straight week that ACU is taking on a Mountain West opponent. Kickoff is at 2:30 p.m. Abilene time. Former ACU quarterback Jim Reese and I will have the broadcast for you on radio beginning at 2 o'clock Abilene time on 98.1 FM The Ticket. For Hannah Knoll and for the coach Adam Dorrel, I'm Grant Boone. Enjoy the game today. We'll see you right here next week on the Adam Dorrel Show.